let's start again.
What's going on, guys? Rusty here with Everage Lawn Care, and today we're going to talk about starting your own business. I get messages all the time through social media and question about, should I start my own business? When should I start my own business? And what should I buy? And how should I do it? We're going to cover all those bases and hopefully a quick, brief video. So, my wife and I, we bought a house at the end of 2014, going into the winter time, so really didn't need to have a lawnmower. And come springtime, we got our tax check, and I told my wife, I'm buying a lawnmower. So I ended up going online, doing some research on YouTube, trying to figure out, what I can get the best bang for my buck. And that's when I ran across Geek to Freak's channel, and he was doing an unboxing of some Troy-built mower. So I kind of watched the review because I knew that we had a local Lowe's, and I knew that they sold Troy-built, so I watched the video. And then I watched some other videos, that it suggested, and I think I was pretty well sold on getting a Troy-built mower from Lowe's. So I ended up going to Lowe's and was looking at mowers, and I got lucky and I got a really nice mower with a 190cc motor, Briggs & Stratton motor, for like $100 off. It was a display model, and it still had all the tags and everything on it. And the guy said, "Hey, I think we got one in the back that we're going to sell on a discount." So he brought it out. I checked it out. It looked great. They had a warranty on it, and it was $100 cheaper. So at that point, I was like, okay, I've got an extra $100. Let's go look at like a blower or maybe a weed eater. So I was looking at their weed eaters, and I was like, well, that's kind of a little more than what I was wanting to spend, And I knew I could go over to Walmart and get like a curved shaft for like 89 bucks. So I was looking at their handheld blowers, and it's like, well, I really don't have to have one of those. I can just sweep off the patio and stuff like that. So I ended up leaving there and going to Walmart, and that's whenever I purchased my gosh, I don't even know what it is. I still have it, and I don't use it, but it's just a cheap curved shaft weed eater from Walmart, and it was gas powered, so I thought perfect. So I brought those items home, and whenever springtime came around, mowed my grass, and you take that pride in mowing your own grass and making it look real nice, and making you want to contribute to how the neighborhood looks. You want to make sure that your yard looks as good as your neighbor's yard, if not better. So it was going great, and I kind of kept going back to the Geek to Freak videos and just watching them. I really liked his personality. I liked the charisma and the information that he was giving. He was giving tips and stuff like that, and I had no clue that you could flip a weed eater and edge. And I've got a concrete patio on the back side of the house, and then my walkways up front. And I was trying to take this curved shaft weed eater, and I was trying to edge it, and it looked horrible. But I was learning. I was learning my own craft to make my yard look great. So one of his videos, it really just grabbed me and drew me in. It was a video where he took basic tools, and it was I think it was a Stihl handheld blower that he had. It was his 21-inch Toro, 21-inch Troy-built mower, push mower, and his I think he had Stihl weed eaters is what he used. But he took those and he threw them in the back of his truck. No trailer, no commercial equipment, nothing like that. And he said, "I'm going to show you how easy this is." Now, of course, he already had the accounts, but the message was anybody can do this, and that was, that's what made him a legend in my mind. Like, people still talk about Greg Chisholm and his Geek to Freak stuff, and wishing he would come back and do videos and stuff like that. But it's because he empowered people. Who knows how many people Geek to Freak got to start a lawn care business? He got me, but who knows? And if you guys never got to see any of his videos, it's sad that he had to take all that stuff down, or he took all that stuff down for his privacy. But man, he had some great videos out there. But anyway, it was he was mowing 4 yards. It was two on one side of the street, two across the other side of the street. He really didn't. He parked his truck and just went back and forth between them. And it took him like an hour to do that, and he made $25 off each one. And I was just like, this guy just made $100 in like an hour. I have a corporate job where I'm on salary. I don't make $100 an hour, and it just blew my mind. And I was like, and he's doing it with the same stuff basically that I have out in my garage. So after a little more convincing, and I did a little Google search and see how many lawn care and landscape companies there were in my town and the surrounding towns, and there was a couple that was showing up on there, but then I started keeping my eyes out, and I started seeing a lot, and I was like, wow, there's quite a few out there. Just a lot of them weren't advertising, or they didn't have a website, or they weren't on Facebook, or what have you. They were just doing their thing. So it was at that point I talked to my wife, and I told her what I was wanting to do, and she was all for it. She was supportive, and I just decided that we're going to go with it. So I don't have, or at the time, I didn't have a truck. I had a Honda Civic, and my wife had a little Nissan Juke SUV, if you want to call it that, an SUV. But we did buy a 5x7 wire mesh bottom trailer from Tractor Supply for like $500, and that was because we knew we was going to be doing work on the house, and we're still doing work on the house, but we knew we'd need a trailer, just kind of haul stuff and take stuff to the dump and pick up wood and pick up anything that on a project that we was working on. So the Nissan did not have a hitch. It did not have trailer wiring. So I had to buy a hitch and install that. Had to buy trailer wiring, install that. Once I had those two things, then I went and bought my trailer. So I spoke to my wife, and we decided that, hey, she's going to support me. We'll go after it and see what happens. She was raising our daughter, and she was working on her master's degree at the time. So it was off to the races. And one of the things about it is I didn't know where to start. So I went to Geek to Freak's website, or to his YouTube page, and just kind of started combing through the videos, and he had made a comment that what he used, he had these little flyers that he printed out, and he passed them out and hung them on people's doorknobs with a rubber band. So he said, if anybody was interested in that, here's an email address, and just email me that you would like it, and I'll send the files over to you, and then you can kind of go into Microsoft Word, and you can put your own information in there and your pricing structure, whatever you wanted to do. So I did that. He emailed me a copy, and I still have that copy today. But he emailed me that copy and put a little note in there, is like, go out there and, get freaky with it, and that was kind of his thing about being a freak, and, just basically wishing me luck and telling me that I can go do it. And one of the best things that I can say about him is he really knew how to just motivate people to get them to go and chase after it. He really did. So at that point, I had everything I needed, and I went out and went to my neighborhood around here and just started working different neighborhoods on my days off. And it was really hard, man. It was really hard going out there and going up to people's doors, because you don't know. You're thinking, oh, they're going to be like, get out of here, or get off my property, and get all crazy with you, which that never happened, by the way. But in my mind, that's what was going to happen. So I just went out and did little by little, whenever I had time to do it. And lo and behold, somebody called me and asked me to come give them an estimate. So I drove over there and gave them an estimate, and that was the birth of Everage Lawn Care. Now, what I did do is I did form an LLC for my company from the get-go. And the only reason why I chose to do that, and you won't have to do that, or you don't have to do that, but the only reason why I chose to do it is because it was a way to hold myself accountable. I wanted to really make myself stick with it. And with an LLC, you're on the tax guy's radar. So, with that, I had to go open a bank account, a separate bank account for Everage Lawn Care. There's all sorts of ways that you can do it, and just starting out, I would highly suggest that you just take, check, wrote to you, or cash is king. And then as you build your clientele and your business, and if you want to go that route, the next step is doing a DBA, doing business as. So I could have went with a DBA Everage Lawn Care, so that'd be doing business as Everage Lawn Care, and it would have my name on there, and that still keeps me a little under the tax radar, but not really. I mean, when you get to that point, you're going to be starting to pay taxes. Um, so that was my reasoning. I formed the LLC. I think I paid like $80 to $100 to do that, and I did it all on my .gov, whatever state you're in, .gov website. It's very easy to do. It's almost too easy to do, really. I got my email, got some paperwork in the mail, had my EIN number, which is like your tax ID number, and from there, I went down to my local city hall, and I got my license for my city to work in my city, and I was legit. I was a formed LLC company, and I had one customer. So I just continued to work and continued to hustle, and went out there and grinded on my days off. And by the end of my first year, I think it was like 10 or 11 customers is what I had. So I felt really good, I mean, I don't remember how much money. I would have to look back and see how much money I made, but it wasn't a whole lot. But it was enough that I took that money and put it back into the business. I ended up buying a Toro Timemaster, a 30-inch, and that was a game changer from a business, because having those 10, 11 accounts, now I've got a 30-inch versus a 21-inch, and that thing, it was a tank, man. I mean, it was cutting my times down. I mean, it seemed like in half, and I was getting done quicker and getting home, and was able to spend a little more time with my family, because really, I was working at that time. It was like 6-7 days, 6-7 days a week, and anytime I could get with my daughter and my wife, that was important to me. So as we're going forward, I upgraded my weed eater. I got me some Echo weed eater. I got 2 of them now, but I picked up my first Echo weed eater, and it was like the SRM 225, I think, is the lowest model, whatever that is. And I still have that today. I still use that today. I still never really got good at flipping over the weed eater and edging. As much as I practiced, I could do it, but it just didn't look the greatest. It didn't look that professional, and I didn't like it. So that's where I ended up seeing Blake Alberson, B&B Lawn Care's video on the Edge It Pro. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I need, because it was like $60, maybe $60 to $70 shipped, versus $200-300 for an actual edger. So I went that route and bought that. And first time I tried it on my patio, it turned out great. I was like, holy cow, game changer for sure. So got the Edge It Pro, and I still have it on there, and I still use it. I will say that I have got better at edging with a weed eater. I finally was able to get a decent line going. But there's things out there, if you don't know how to do that, there's nothing wrong with buying an Edge It Pro and putting it on your weed eater. Just go to the website, Google search them, and find what model what fits the model of weed eater that you have. So back to my equipment. I bought the 21-inch Troy built with the 190cc Briggs motor on it. I bought a cheap curved shaft weed eater from Walmart, which lasted like a year, and I dumped that thing off in the backside of my property in the woods. Funny story, but we can go into that another day. And then my buddy, he let me borrow. He had a Poulon Pro handheld blower, gas powered, in his storage unit, so he let me borrow that. And I used that thing. I used that thing all year long, and then the next year was 2016, last year, and that's when I took my profits and I went and bought a Scag Vride, and again, that was another game changer. Picked up a second Echo SRM 225 weed eater, And I picked up a Stihl backpack blower, which you can see the review on this channel. But really, what it comes down to is it comes down to you. You have to make yourself cross that barrier. Nobody can do it for you. Luckily, I had Greg Chisholm, Geek to Freak, that I felt like helped push me to get over that barrier and just go for it. And hopefully this will do that for some people watching this, some of you guys and girls possibly that are looking to do this. You just have to do it. You're wasting your time, and right now is the best time as any. You know, you could have started it in December in the middle of a blizzard. You know, you can go out and shovel snow. You can do whatever, but just go out and do it. That's all I can tell you. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about what other people are thinking, because trust me, it all will come into your head. You'll be mowing somebody's grass, you got your headphones on, you're listening to your tunes, and you see neighbors outside and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, wonder what they're thinking about me over here mowing this grass. For real, that's real talk. I actually had that conversation in my head many times my first year in when I started. I would see people I went to high school with, you know, or neighbors, and it was like, oh my gosh, you know, look at, they're going to look down on me because here I am mowing grass. I'm out here push mowing grass, you know. I mean, it was very scary, and it was very tough whenever I started. I was very critical and hard on myself, and I almost bet, not a lot of people talk about that, but I almost bet every YouTuber that's on here has went through the same thing. We all started somewhere. Just remember that. We all started somewhere, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Doesn't matter if you're 12, 13 years old, or if you're 45 years old. If you want to start your business, go do it. Don't go crazy. I'm running my company without going into debt. I understand that if I eventually want to grow my company bigger and stronger, and hire employees, because I'm solo, that I'm probably going to have to go in debt on a big, you know, $15,000 zero-turn mower. I get that. But in these early stages, you know, this is year 3, and I'm excited as ever. You know, I've got 3 commercial accounts. No, I take it back. I got 4 commercial accounts. I picked up an apartment complex at the end of 2016, and I'm hoping to find out tonight. There's a meeting tonight to see if I placed a bid on a large property in a kind of an HOA area, and they're having a meeting tonight, so hopefully I win that bid, and that's really going to start me off right in 2017. Best advice I can give you is push all that stuff out of your head. Just go for it. You know, go for it. That's all I can say. Alright guys, like, comment, subscribe. Shoot me messages. Follow me on any of the social media sites, Everage Lawn Care. If you got a question, just ask, I'll answer. If you got a topic you want me to discuss, let me know what topic you'd like me to discuss, and we'll go over it. Alright guys, thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next video.